my hair is driving me nuts because it's super humid outside today, and it's just, all it's doing is just like flying everywhere, and I can't. Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the arcs that I was sent that come out in the month of February, and I have read them, and I'm going to do little short-ish reviews on them. There are 6 books to talk about, so February was a big month for some of these releases, and we're going to get into it here really quickly. So every month in my Bookworm Life Planner, I am writing down the arcs that I get, and I have the ones that are publisher contact, which means that they have contacted me and asked me personally to read and review this book, and I have personally accepted and said, yes, I will absolutely do that. So that's what I kind of write at the top. So those are the ones that I absolutely must read and get to in order to do these videos. And then the ones on the bottom here are either from NetGalley or they are unsolicited. So these were arcs that were sent to me, but I didn't ask for them. They weren't, no one contacted me about them beforehand, so I didn't agree to do it, but it's nice to have them, but they don't end up being a priority for me. So only the ones that are the absolute priority for me up here are the ones that I'm going to be talking about, because those are the only ones I was able to get to. So I'm just going to start in order of how I listed them, and as soon as I have a new arc that I know is coming, I will write it down there. So the first one that I ended up getting is The Only Child by Me. This was sent to me by Ecco, and I DNF'd this one, you guys. Oh, I did read 50 pages of this, but I did not like the writing style to the point where it was really hindering my reading experience. The writing was very choppy, and it was very repetitive as well. It was, we would be in a scene and we're following the characters and what's happening. And then 3 pages later, it refers back to something about one of those characters or that scene, but that scene is already over. And I'm like, well, why didn't we talk about that when the scene happened? Or it will just re-explain an emotion that one of those characters is feeling. I'm like, yeah, we already got that. We got that in that scene. Why are we rehashing it? And it was just things that weren't super important to rehash. And I had a really big issue with, I didn't feel any emotions from these characters. The characters felt very stale to me. And, they're in a situation that's very scary and very, it was really intense situations, and they were just kind of there. So I struggled through 50 pages and then said, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. So I did put it down. I DNF'd this one, unfortunately. Just wasn't for me. And that's okay. And now I know. But I do appreciate the publisher sending this one my way. So I can at least spread the word to you guys so that you guys know if this is a book that you are interested in, that you would want to give it a try yourselves. For me personally, it just didn't work. And this one is already released. It came out on February 11th. The next book is a book that was sent to me on my Kindle from the publisher, and that is Foul is Fair. This is by Hannah Capin, and this was sent to me by Wednesday Books. And this one I didn't really like, you guys. This one only got a 2 stars for me. I really liked the premise of the book. This is basically a retelling of Macbeth, is what everything is being marketed for. I've never read Macbeth, so I don't really fully know the story, but I do know that it's a revenge story, and that this definitely was a revenge story. So this follows a young girl who is sexually assaulted at a high school party, and sexually assaulted. She was raped, you guys, gang raped, and she goes on a revenge. She puts herself pretty much in disguise, almost reinvents herself, goes and joins this school because it was a different high school than what she attended. She goes to this school and inserts herself into the social circles there, becomes the it girl, and she is taking revenge on everyone around her because those are the people who were involved some way, somehow in what happened to her at this party, and nobody knows who she is. Okay. I like the premise. However, I really had to suspend my belief that this girl walked into the school became instantly popular. And I'm talking like within 30 minutes of her being in the school, she was the it girl. And just taking over everything within this group who are supposed to be so tight-knit and so close-lipped and blah, blah, blah. She was able to just insert herself, no problem. And on top of that, she was making friends with all these people and getting them to kill each other. All within probably within a week. I had a hard time buying that. I can suspend my belief for certain things, but in a contemporary book where it's supposed to be actually pretty believable, I didn't buy that at all. I was like, I really don't think there's any way that this girl is going to walk into the school. She's going to take over everything within 30 minutes, and then she's going to get all these people to kill each other, and they've been best friends for life. I have a hard time with that. I did like how strong she was as a character, and the friendship that she has with her close friends who were not at the school, like her friends who were at the party, understood what happened, knew what happened, all that stuff. So their friendship I appreciated. So that was good. But everything else was just kind of like, I kind of went, really, the whole time. And another thing I really didn't like is that, our main character, she told her parents about the rape. And then they were absent after that. They didn't call the police. They didn't try to get her any type of health care. Nothing. They just let her go to this new school. And gave her a car. I was like, why even have the parents in the story if they're not going to be compassionate parents? You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, oh, her parents are there, but they're not really there. No, her parents were there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that. That bothered me. Another thing that bothered me, it was kind of strange because I don't mind cursing in books. I read some disturbing things. Cursing doesn't bother me, but this was really over the top. I'm talking, there's cursing on every single page in this book, sometimes back to back to back to back to back. I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, I understand teenagers curse and all that stuff. That's fine. But it was a little over the top for me, even for me. I was just like, okay. So yeah, this one only got 2 stars for me. It just really, I don't know. I had to suspend my belief too much in a contemporary book, and I don't like that. And this one is coming out next week, so it comes out on February 18th. Next up is The Light After the War, and this is by Anita Abriel, and this was sent to me from Atria Books, and this is a historical fiction book that is based on the true story of the author's mother and what she had to deal with during World War II and the aftermath of World War II, kind of where she was and what she was doing. So it's a fiction book, but it's based on a true story. So I don't know how much of it was absolutely 100% true and how much of it was embellished. I'm not quite sure, but definitely inspired. And this follows 2 best friends who are Hungarian, and they are teenagers during when World War II started. So I think they were like 16 when the war started, and things started to happen, and Jewish people in Hungary started slowly getting their freedoms taken away. And, you saw that starting to happen. These 2 girls ended up on a train with their mothers that was heading to Auschwitz. And their mothers figured out a way to get these 2 girls off the train quietly and to help them escape. So they do that. I mean, they literally push the girls off the train and the girls go stumbling into the darkness off the train, and the guards don't notice. So they essentially save their lives, their mothers. So these girls are forced to find shelter and to figure out how they're going to live. They are very lucky in that they got pushed off in Austria, and they find a farm where the wife who lives there takes them in and shelters them and feeds them and everything. And they end up working for her as they stay there for about a year. until the war is over and it's safe for them to come out. And then they end up making their way to Naples. They find some business opportunities there, and you see them just kind of making their own way in life, and they're always together. They're doing this together. So you kind of follow them around a little bit of Europe and a little bit of South America, and it's just kind of their journeys into all these things. You see some love stories happening. You see some tragedies happening, and it was all really interesting. I was very interested the entire time. I read through this pretty quickly for historical fiction, actually. I read it in about a week, and I was always interested the whole time. I was never bored. There was one point where it wasn't going where I wanted it to go. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to get towards the end. Are we not going to come back around to this little, this little thing that was happening here? I want to come back around to this. And eventually it did, but it was taking a little bit too long for me, and I wasn't sure if it was going to or not. But then something huge happened, and I was like, what? I literally put my book down and went, what? Like, what's happening? And then from then on, I couldn't put it down after that. So I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful, and these characters are fantastic. These are wonderful women, and definitely strong women in a time and places where women were not valued as highly as I guess you could say. There is instances where they are in South America and pretty much told it's not okay for a woman to be dining in a restaurant without her husband, that type of thing. So very interesting. So you saw the struggles with that because these women are like, but what's the problem? You know what I mean? So I really, really liked it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. And this one is already out. It came out on February 4th. The next one that I read is Minor Dramas and Other Catastrophes. This is by Kathleen West, and this was sent to me by Berkley. And this one is a contemporary book. And this follows a school, and you're following different perspectives. So you're following parents of some of the students in this high school. You're following some of the students in the high school. You're following some of the teachers in the high school, the principal of the high school, and you're seeing a whole bunch of things from different perspectives and how things are playing out. And it's all focused mainly around a teacher who is teaching some things in her literature class that parents are not comfortable with, mainly teaching classic literature and having the students look at it in a modern way. And the parents are not comfortable with that, some of the themes that are happening. And it's something that, they're calling like liberal agendas are being pushed on their children. So you're following, some of the parents who are pushing against that. You're following the teacher who's being pushed against. And there's also another situation happening where there is a drama club and, they're putting on a play, and one of our mothers, her son is trying out, and she feels like he deserves this part and blah, blah, blah. And it's this whole thing. And so that plays another big part of it, and, really takes her parenting into question about, she's trying to be there too much, and she's like helicopter parenting, basically. So all these things are kind of happening all at once, right? You're seeing things from different perspectives, which was really interesting because, it comes into question of, did this drama student, did he really deserve the part that he got? Or was it given to him? Or some people say, was it bought for him because his parents donated all this money to the club and they're doing all this and they volunteer for everything. So naturally he's going to get this part because, So that's a big conversation in here about that. And you kind of see how all that happens from different perspectives. So you're seeing the principal who had a hand in it. You're seeing the drama teacher who, struggled with his decision, and all these things. So all that is simultaneously happening. And then you're seeing, this teacher get so much pushback to the point where they had to remove her from the classroom at one point because there were so many phone calls and, complaints and all that stuff. And when you have so many complaints, you have to take some sort of action, right? So it was all very interesting, really good commentary on, like what's being taught in the classroom versus what, do you teach do you teach what society should teach you? Do you teach what the parents want you to teach? How much control do you really have over your own curriculum? That type of thing. And also really good conversations about helicopter parenting and how that can hurt you and how that can hurt your children and all these types of things. So I really did enjoy it. It was very entertaining. Every single one of these characters had big flaws. Every single one. Like there was not a character in here who did not make mistakes and did not, do something that affected other people in a negative way, like every single one. So that was interesting as well. And so I thought it was really good. I really liked it and I gave it 4 stars. And this one is already released and it came out on February 4th. The other one I read was also one that I was sent on my Kindle, and that is The Antidote for Everything. This is by Kimmery Martin, and this was also sent to me by Berkley. Now, this one is the second book from Kimmery Martin. I read her first book, which was called The Queen of Hearts, and I really enjoyed that one a lot. That was a 5-star read. So this one I was really excited for, and I knew it was going to be kind of a medical drama type of book. And that is because the author is actually a heart surgeon, I think. I'm pretty positive she's a heart surgeon. So she's some sort of surgeon in the medical field. I know that for sure. And this one was a medical drama. It follows a doctor who is actually a urologist, and she's a female, which is a little bit rare. Usually you see male urologists in the profession. So, she's definitely special in that way. And she's working at a practice, working at a clinic, and you see one of her colleagues, who is also her best friend, gets very heavily discriminated against. And basically this clinic has decided that they don't want to treat patients who are LGBTQ. And mainly it stems from her best friend as a doctor is treating trans patients and helping them with their transitions. And the clinic decides they don't want to do that. They don't want to provide that care. So they are turning away those patients and in turn investigating this doctor. And it becomes a whole big mess because, of course, the media gets a hold of it and it is just blown up and all that stuff. And the doctor is also gay, and he is saying, "You're discriminating against me and you're discriminating against my patients, and that's not okay." So you see this female urologist who is trying to help him through this and doing everything she can to try to figure out, how they can fight back and, do all these things. In the meantime, she's also finding love with someone that she met on one of her medical conferences in Amsterdam. And so that's also like another part of the story. So, I did really enjoy this one. It wasn't as good. And I think the main thing is because I really didn't love the main character. Her name is Georgia. This is all set in South Carolina. And I don't know. Something about her just kind of drove me up the wall. I didn't like a lot of the decisions that she made. And there was a really big decision that really affected the case for her friend against the clinic, and it made it so that he was probably going to get in trouble because of it. And it didn't make a ton of sense to me why they did it. It was almost like they were trying to frame somebody, and I just went, but why? Your case is strong enough on its own, and then you did this one thing that didn't make any sense, and it completely hurt everything that you guys were trying to do. And so I didn't love that. I thought that was kind of like a little reveal that was and then she was lying to people about it. And I was like, really? When all this whole thing with her and her new relationship was all on big time based on honesty, and she's lying to him. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I don't know. Just something about her kind of drove me nuts a little bit. So I didn't love the main character. And again, a lot of decisions that she made ended up hurting the people that she claims to love so much. Not that she didn't love them. I fully believe that she did, but she did things that hurt them. Stop it. What are you doing? So, yeah, but I did like the way it ended. I thought, it was good. And I gave it 3 stars because I didn't love her. A lot of decisions that she made were just ridiculous and unnecessary. And it did kind of hinder my enjoyment a little bit. So 3 stars for this one. This one is coming out on the 18th. So next week. And the last one here is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. This was also sent to me by Berkley. And I loved this book so much, you guys. This was a 5-star read. I could not get enough of this book. This is a ghost story. Simone St. James, you know, she does write like ghost stories. So I would kind of classify them as paranormal, I would say. This follows a girl who, it's a dual timeline. So in the present timeline, it's 2017. Yes, 2017. And our main character, Carly, has lost her mother. And she is kind of at a point in her life where she's not really sure what she wants to do. She's not really sure what she wants to strive for. She's just kind of really in a bad place. And she's in college, but she decides, you know, there's something that has happened in our past, in our family, that I just really have never found closure on. I really want to find closure on this. And that occurrence was that her aunt went missing in 1982 in upstate New York and was never heard from again. And it's kind of assumed that she was probably taken and killed based on the place that she was living. It was a little bit notorious for women disappearing and being found dead. So they just kind of assumed that whoever was doing that did this to her as well, but they just never found her body. And she's never found closure on that, even though all this happened before she was even born. But it's something that has always been kind of a dark cloud over their family, you know, especially with her mother, because it was her sister and all that stuff. So she decides she's going to go to upstate New York and try to see if she can solve her mother's or her aunt's murder. Yeah. And she wants to do this because she's kind of a true crime enthusiast type thing. So she thinks that she can, you know, maybe figure out what's going on. So she does this. And then you're also getting the perspective of Vivian, who is her aunt, and actually what happened in 1982. So you're going back and forth. So you're seeing Carly trying to figure out things. She's in the same town. And then you're following Vivian, who works at the Sundown Motel. She's the night clerk there, and that is where she disappeared from. So you're seeing both things happen, and it was brilliant, you guys. It really was. Just the way it was written was so interesting. You're going back and forth. Both timelines were very interesting. You're seeing Carly kind of piece some things together. You're seeing what's really happening with Viv, and the whole thing about this motel is that it's always been rumored to be haunted. And it is, and it's so good, you guys. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to ruin anything, but oh my gosh, it was so good. And I was actually reading this at night in bed, and I had my book light on, and the rest of the room was dark because my husband was sleeping. So I had my book light on, I'm reading it, and I got to the end of a chapter and I went, nope, I can't read this at night, you guys. I got scared. I legit got, it was scary. And I went, oh, I have not been scared of a book in a while. Like, something that really spooked me. I don't even remember the last time I had a book really spook me. This spooked me, you guys. Oh, it was so good. So yeah, if you like paranormal, if you like ghost stories, if you like things that are going to scare you a little bit and keep you interested the whole time, this is the book. I'm telling you. If you liked The Broken Ones or The Broken Girls by her, I liked this one better. So this one was a 5-star. Absolutely loved it. It's staying on my shelves, and it might be a favorite of the year. And this one is being released to the general public next week on February 18th. Although if you have Book of the Month and you picked it, then you already have your copy of this one. Okay, guys, those are my thoughts on all of the February arcs that I got for this month, and some really good ones, some duds, but you know, that's kind of to be expected when you're reading a whole bunch of different types of books. But I did like the variety of books that I had. You know, I had a paranormal in there, I had some contemporary, I had a historical fiction. So yeah, I really enjoyed the variety there for sure. If you're interested in any of these books, I will leave links down below for all of them. I will have the Amazon link for the American Amazon, and I will have a link for Book Depository as well for anyone who's international that wants to check out these books. So you guys can have access to both of those, whichever one would work best for you, or if Amazon in your country has them. that would be great. I just don't have access to that. But yeah, I will leave those links down below for you guys if you're interested in any of these. Huge thanks to all the publishers for sending me early copies of these books. I'm so grateful that I was able to get a hold of them and read them and share them with you guys. So let me know if you're interested in any of them. Let me know what's on your radar, if you're going to pick any of them up. If you've already read some of them, let me know what your thoughts are down below as well. And I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.